Hello and welcome. My name is Karishma Patel, and I'm your host for the It's Not Selfish podcast. And I'm so happy that you're here today. And also, I want to say thank you for taking the time out to listen in today. I have a very special guest. Also, excuse my voice. My allergies are kicking my ass right now. And so I had to take a little break because I was out of town, but I'm back. And today I have a very special guest. So let's get into it. Dimple Patel, welcome to the It's Not Selfish podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Backstory, how I know Dimple Patel. She is a cousin's cousin, but then cousin's cousin that became my really good friend. And I kind of like grew up with her too, in a way, because she was always around my cousins. And I would see you since I was a young little girl. And then I guess we started connecting on Instagram after you shared some stories of your personal life. And remember I reached out to you?
Yeah.
And then you started Certified Luxe Girl on Instagram, which is she'll find you the best luxury goods for the best prices and deals. And it's authentic.
Yep.
I've gotten so many things. It's dangerous.
I love doing what I do. It makes me happy that other people are happy. And I bring the deals, like you said.
Yeah. So what else do you do? So who are you and what do you do?
I am a mom of 3 boys, 7, 6, and 1, a wife, a pharmacist, and my side hustle, which is the Certified Luxe Girl.
That is so much, like everything. Like that's so much. 3 kids?
3 kids.
3 boys.
Boys.
How are you liking being a boy mom?
It's been very fun, actually. I always thought I was going to be a girl mom.
Yeah.
Or at least have one girl in the mix, because I'm a girl and I'm the eldest of 3. But that wasn't in my cards, so here I am.
Do you love it?
I love it. They are really sweet. They are Sour Patch Kids, like, you know. They know how to push my buttons, but they also know how to love hard. And they love me to death. Like they choose, well, I should say like my second and third choose me over my husband, but my eldest is now becoming like about his dad. So
Wow. Hopefully the second one doesn't become like that either.
I don't think so.
I think the third one's yours.
Third one is for sure like he wants me.
He's a baby too.
Yeah, he's the baby.
He's so cute. I want to steal him.
Take him.
So how did you come up with Certified Luxe Girl?
It was just on a whim, actually. I was going through some anxiety. Mm-hmm. It was like during COVID, March of we're in 2024. So this was in 3 years ago, March 2021.
Okay.
2020, yeah. I was just going through some anxiety and I was like having so much energy and I didn't know how to release it. We were staying in an apartment because we had sold our townhome and it was just like a lot of stuff going on. Mentally, I just was, I don't know, overwhelmed. And I was just like looking at all my stuff and I was like, I need to get rid of some stuff. And so I just posted a couple of things on my Instagram, like on my personal Instagram, not knowing like someone would be interested in it and buying that bag that I had purchased for myself, but I felt guilty about because I was like, where am I going to go? I have nowhere to go. I'm a mom. I'm not going to use it. So then I just posted it and it sold.
And then you're like, this is it.
And I was like, wow, like people actually pay attention to my Instagram, like people want to buy things, I guess, at a discounted price. And
people love their discounts.
Yes. And people don't want to leave their home to go find these things. And I've always like bought my stuff like on sale or found them like for a steal. And I kind of like do the wait and watch game. And a lot of people don't have that patience, right? So it kind of worked to my advantage because I like doing that. And it's like, I don't consider it like a job. I consider it because it's my passion. Like fashion is my passion. So
I love it.
I consider it just like a little fun hobby to search things. And if someone wants something specific, like I love a good search. Like I hate to be defeated. So I'm like on the prowl. But it worked out. I mean, 3 years later, I'm still doing it.
I love it. And you have a lot of clients now.
Yeah, a lot of repeat clients, so that's
Yeah.
amazing. And it's all grown through word of mouth.
Yeah.
And thank you to you, too, because you were my first client.
I love that. I love fashion too. Fashion is my passion, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I do love my bags, and I like accessories. I don't like spending like designer clothes, but I do love my designer bags that are timeless.
Right.
They'll last me forever. And yeah, I'm a repeat client. I shouldn't be buying too much, but it's hard. It's hard. I'm like, Dimple, can you find me this? What's the good price on this? Can you tell me?
But I do like to say, like, even people that come to me and ask me, like, to find them something, I do give them my honest opinion, and it's not about, you know, making the sale. I will, like, tell them what I think, the pros, the cons. I really want them to love what they're trying, you know, what they're buying. So it's not about the numbers game here. It's like, honestly, like, are you going to love this piece, and is it something that you're not going to get tired of?
It's really nice that you do that, because I asked you too when I was purchasing something, and I was like, okay, so what is the pro, what's the con, or can I buy it this way or in other ways? And you're just like 100% transparent. Like, I know it's not about the money for you. It's more about, are you going to like it as a person and with you forever or whenever, however long. And I like that.
Yeah, I mean, just recently, this past week, too, somebody asked me something, and I was like, look, I want you to go and test it out. Like, go to the store, try it. Do you love it? I mean, it's a specific type of print. Are you going to love it for years to come? Or is it something that's, like, temporary, like a couple of months, and then you're not going to want to use it? Or you're going to want to get something else?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, my God, you're totally right. And I was like, yeah, it's not like buying a candy bar out of a store. Like, what's my favorite candy bar? It's like, you got to know if you're going to use this.
This is expensive.
This is expensive. Yeah, it's not something cheap.
Yeah.
So she's like, I was totally treating it like a candy bar. Like, she was just picking a candy bar.
Definitely not a candy bar.
No.
Even I tell my mom too. My mom was always like, why do you sit on things? I was like, because I need to imagine all these different ways I'm going to wear it. I need to imagine where I'm going to take it. Like,
yeah, is it practical?
Yeah,
is it
I
not?
like to sit on things for a really long time, especially if I'm spending lots of money. And I like to put in my head how many outfits I can put together.
Yeah, because are you going to get the use out of it?
Yeah, am I going to
That's exactly what I do when I do the whole wait and watch.
Yeah, and it's so worth it, because when you do realize, like, oh shit, I actually like it. Or also another thing I do is this is actually a trick. I don't know who taught me. I think Shay did, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll go on the website that I'm looking at clothes for. I'll put it in the cart, and then I'll sit on it and be like, okay, do I really need this? I'll sleep on it for 2-3 days. If I'm still thinking about it, that means I want it. If I'm not, that means that I didn't really want that. I was just browsing.
I do that with Indian clothes. You know, like, I go on online shopping and I like all these things, and then I'm like, I don't have anywhere to go, but when something else is coming up, I'm like, okay, let me look at my like list again. Am I still in love with this? And then I narrow down my list again.
Same. But and then when it leaves, I'm like, oh, I really wanted that one.
And that's when I go crazy. Meant to be. That's when I go on my
try to find it.
Night searches. Yeah.
Well, you said you started this because of anxiety. So did this page help with that?
Yeah. It really gave me, like, clarity in my mind, and it really released that energy that I needed to do something.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of felt like I was stuck in my head after having kids, and I just kept getting, like, this anxiety, like, I have so much to do, but I can't figure out what to do. Well, this kind of gave me that avenue that I can kind of, what do you call it? I lost my word, train of thought, but kind of like, I know what I need to get done for the kids and myself and stuff, but that downtime that I have, because I still like to stay busy, but not that busy where you're like doing work and that dreadful work, that dreadful busyness. It was more so like that enjoyment, like it fulfilled a purpose, like it was a purpose. And so I like it a lot.
Yeah, so I like that. I'm happy to hear that. So how did your anxiety start?
You know, I think I was always a highly functioning, anxious person, but nobody really gave you that title, or no one really talked about it growing up, so I didn't know, right? Yeah. So I think it really heightened after kids, especially after my first son, not knowing what I'm doing as a mom, because I'm always like that person that needs to know type A personality, like needs to know, be in control. And like, I think after having a kid, I felt like I was out of control. Like I didn't know. It was really like all the unknowns that drove this anxiety out. And I had 2 back-to-back so close that I didn't get to figure out the first one, and I already had the second one. So it was just like, I just, my body was just very overwhelmed. And I think that's really where it all like sparked from.
Yeah. Did you, I know we talked about this personally, not on mic, and we did actually record another episode, but then it was a whole thing. But we're back here. Did you go through postpartum after your first?
Yeah, so I think that's the whole anxiety thing was postpartum related. I was lost. I mean, I was confused because it was like, how can someone that followed all the rules, like dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, graduated college, went off to graduate school, finished like in a timely manner, like got married during graduate school, like all these things that, your parents want for you, but they never like pushed me, but it was like that thing, like I just know, and I just got to complete. And so I did all these things, and it's like, how can someone so accomplished and successful go through something like this? So I was kind of in denial.
Yeah.
Being a pharmacist, like a professional, medical professional, I was like, I'm supposed to help people, like provide the medicines, counsel them, all these things.
Did you know about postpartum before you got pregnant? Like,
no, nobody talked to me about that.
wow. Because I was going to say, at this generation, I know now because everyone talks about it so openly, but I didn't know until like, I think I talked to you and then also some of my friends who were pregnant, and I was like, wow, I really educated myself, and I just didn't know because I don't know why it's so hush-hush.
I think, I don't know why it's so hush-hush, but I also wish that doctors talk to you about it during your pregnancy at each appointment. How are you feeling? Not just physically, how are you feeling?
Like,
is the baby
mentally, emotionally?
They're like asking you, is the baby moving? Have you had any contractions? Those kinds of things. Like, are you able to still like work out, or, your normal activities? Are you eating well, drinking well? But what about mentally? Like, how are you feeling mentally? Because right now, how you're feeling, it's probably going to feel 10 times worse after the baby's here.
Not one doctor
talks to you about that. But then at your 6-week or 8-week visit, they make you check out, fill this questionnaire. Like, are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you anxious? How many crying episodes do you have, and all this stuff? But I think at that point, you're feeling like embarrassed, or
because
like,
why do I have to check?
Why do I need to tell you how I'm, like, you kind of feel like you want to lie to them, right? Like, you just want to tell everybody, like, you're okay, you're doing well, like, you're a mom, you got to take care of your family, and if I check something here, what are you going to think of me?
Yeah.
Or what's going to happen?
Yep.
Am I going to be told to be on medicines or go to a psychiatrist or whatever this is? Because we always grew up with a bad connotation about
therapy,
mental health, psychiatrists, medication.
Yeah, because they label you as crazy. Yeah, it's like, no.
And so really, being like the first generation American here, and the eldest of my family, and eldest of my dad's side of all the cousins,
of pressure.
I was like, everybody looks up to me, and I have this pressure on me. But at the same time, I was like, no one's taking care of me other than, like, I have to take care of myself. And it really hit perspective whenever my husband said, look, we need you. We need you as a mom. We need you as a wife. I need you as a friend. And right now, I don't have any of that. Yeah. Like, I'm pulling the weight, and I don't mind doing it. And he was very supportive. And I think it really just snapped to me, like, I do need to go get help. Because at my 6-week appointment, I lied to my doctor, and I went back to him crying 2 weeks later. And I was like, you're right, I'm not okay.
And what did he say?
He said, you could have fooled me. And I think a lot of people do fool people.
Yeah.
But it takes that one person just to get to you and make you realize that it's okay. Like, you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, that was my husband. because if he wouldn't have said that, then I don't know what I would have done. I think I would have just kept lying and said that I'm okay.
And you would have just pushed through. Oh.
Yeah.
I wish I had a tissue.
Oh, it's okay.
I need to start bringing it because there's been a lot of crying on these episodes.
It just kind of,
It's a lot.
takes me back. Like, man, I was in a really bad spot. And if he wouldn't have said that, I probably would have just, who knows what have happened. The crazy part is, during that time, I was reaching out to a lot of friends who also had kids or had kids before me that I was, trying to relate to, trying to think like I fit in. Can I fit in somewhere? And you really think like after having kids, like you could at least make friendships because you're in like that same realm or that same life space. And honestly, like I got a lot of like not really that much engagement. And that was really upsetting because that made me feel really lonely and alone. And like, I was like, am I just not normal? Like,
No,
everybody was having kids and functioning normally, but I guess they were just portraying that.
Yeah.
I like to give everybody grace. So like, I'm thinking maybe they were going through that, but they don't know how to express it.
Yeah.
And I was the only one.
Or they didn't even know what they were going through.
And I think maybe I kind of highlighted it whenever I posted on my Instagram about mental health and how I felt. Because then after that, I got a lot of people reaching out to me, people that I hadn't even talked to, or someone who had told somebody about me and said, hey, you should probably reach out to so-and-so. And I got random messages and said, I'm so thankful for you to speak out about this, especially in our culture, because we were just told this is normal.
Or you'll get over it.
Feel like this, but you'll get over it. Just think about your baby. Look at how, healthy, beautiful, like you have everything that you need. Why are you feeling like this? Think of God, pray.
I have so many thoughts on it. Oh my God.
It was just all these things that, I'm a religious person. I'm respectful. I do all these things, and yet it can still happen to you.
Exactly.
You can be a firm believer in anything and everything and do everything by the books and live life to the fullest, but you could still have mental health affect you.
Yeah.
Because life is not, stagnant in a little snippet of where you're feeling the greatest. It's continuous. Time keeps ticking. Yep. And so many factors and things can trigger different emotions and mental space.
Well, I'm so happy that you are here today and that you're with us and you're able to share this and that you're healing and doing much better.
Oh, I'm 1,000% better. I mean, I've had people come out to me and tell me, like, you look the happiest, especially after your third kid.
Yeah, that third kid was it.
That third kid was the scary thing. Like, I was having a setback. I was like,
oh my God, it's going to happen
again. How can I do this? How can I do this? And I think my main focus was, when I found out, was how am I going to overcome the mental, like the postpartum part of it? I could do everything. Have a third kid, go through labor, no epidural on all three. Like, I'm strong as F, but mentally it was draining, and mentally I was tortured. And so I really took from my past, how am I going to overcome this? And so I stuck to it. I mean, I kept an open communication with my doctor. I told him I'm on this medication. I want to stay on this medication. Is it healthy for my baby? Is it healthy for me? Because otherwise we need to have something. Because I did try to get off of it, but I had withdrawals and I felt 100 times worse. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need to be on something where I know that everybody's safe. I'm healthy to carry out this pregnancy and still be able to function. Because I had 2 other kids to still take care of, my husband, myself. And so...
Was your family supportive?
So in the beginning, obviously my parents were like, oh, you shouldn't think negatively and all this stuff, obviously. But when they saw how I would just break down at like dinner randomly, I couldn't eat, I couldn't like swallow my own saliva. They were like, you do need to go to the doctor. Like, they agreed with my husband and my decision to like go and get on medication. But when the time that I got around on the medication the first time, it was my sister's wedding too. And I was kind of like a zombie, you know, like I knew I was there, but I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
And people would come up to me and be like, you know, you're not your normal self, like what's going on and all this stuff. And I would tell them, I was like, I'm depressed. Like, I'm having postpartum depression and I'm on medication. And people said, oh, no, don't think like that. Here, wear this, do this, eat this.
What is that going to do? What is wear?
Take the bad
God.
voodoo off, I guess.
Oh, my God.
So I would break down even more because I'm like, man, people are not believing my
think
feelings.
I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I understand that it's not those elder people's fault or people that have never learned about mental health, but it's just, I wish like they would be open to even understanding, you know, like, oh, what's going on? Are you okay? Why do you feel this way? Instead of telling you to push your feelings to a side, but also that I know it's their generation where they've been just told not to feel anything.
Yeah.
Because if you feel everything negative, nothing good's going to happen to you. But that's not true. That is so not true.
You know, after I went through it, and then my mom kind of opened up and said, you know, I felt this way, but we didn't have anybody to talk to. The doctors didn't say anything about this during our visits. We didn't even have follow-ups, you know? And then, you know, whenever if she did mention it to her mom or anybody, they would just say, oh, I felt like that too, but, you know, you just got to keep going because you have to take care of your family.
So sad.
So,
I mean, in one way, yes and no, but also like keep going, but also make sure you protect your mental health.
but it's like, how are you going to take care of your family if you're
you
not
can't take care of
you're
yourself?
not healthy?
Yeah.
And so I always look at that like, you have to be healthy to take care of somebody else.
It is 1000% facts. Actually, after I started sharing my mental health journey online and talking about my anxiety, depression, I've had so many people in my own family. One time, I don't know, I was just at home eating dinner and everyone was over and one of my cousins came up to me and he said, you know, because it happens to males too. He said, you know, I'm really proud of you because I could never talk about how I had depression too after my girls were born. And I did. And I was like, I just couldn't believe it. And I was just also so grateful that they're able to share this with me. And also, I can't believe that they went through that, but they didn't know what to do.
But
And
coming
they
from
probably
a guy,
didn't. Yeah,
like,
coming from a
and
guy.
that's a good point you brought up because I was going to say that. I said, not only do the females go through postpartum, but your significant other goes through postpartum.
Yeah.
And so
Or can.
and they can. And so, you know, while they're trying to keep it together and they're seeing you fall apart, they're also falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, there's that attention that they're not getting. It's different after kids.
And then the whole dynamic shifts, you know? Yeah.
It changes for almost like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Because even a female's body doesn't get back to normal, technically, like to their pre-pregnancy for almost 2 years.
That's crazy. See, these are things that they don't talk about. Everyone in our community, everyone is so, I had it last week, but like everyone is so like, get pregnant. When are you going to have a baby? You're 30 years old. You're too old. I got that all week last week. But no one talks about the stuff that happens post-pregnancy or even during. Like, there could be issues that women go through, and there are. I've had many friends go through, and my cousins have some difficulty. And then post, no one talks about the post. And they don't ever think about, like, oh, maybe she doesn't want to get pregnant because she's scared, or maybe there's some things that she's
Or they're working
doesn't want to
out,
go through.
you know, like,
or like
maybe something's wrong and
or maybe she just doesn't want it, right? So
it's all that peer pressure. And, you know, we had that too as soon as we got married.
yeah.
But not immediately, like from my parents or anybody like that.
No one, my parents and his parents, none. It's everyone else, which is insane.
I guess it's
to
just
me.
like in our culture, it's like go to school, get a job, get married, have
Get
kids,
pregnant.
and
Have
like,
another one.
That's like their goal.
It's so sad,
but
right?
that's not the goal of life. Like, life is to make sure you're happy, you treat others with respect, and that you do good by others, and do good by yourself. Like, so it's, I mean, I can understand, but we didn't have kids for 5 years. We were married. We were trying to figure out ourselves, figuring out, you know, where are we going to live, finances, the important things.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Before we bring kids into this life. And so
I'm also so happy being a dinkwad, which is dual income, no kids with a dog.
I had no idea what that meant. Did you learn that last week?
I learned it through Shay's cousin.
Okay.
He taught me. He's like, you guys are just a bunch of dinkwads. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And then he explained it. I was like, yes, I love my dogs. I'm so happy. When I was there last week, everyone was like, you look so, like, you're glowing. One, they would ask if I'm pregnant. I'm like, no. Two, they were like, you're just glowing. You're so happy. I was like, yeah, my life is good. I'm happy. I'm healthy. My husband's healthy. My dogs are just the best things of my life. And I'm just happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive. And I think that's why I'm just glowing.
Yeah.
Because why else? Like, I think for a successful life, the way to have a successful life is to be happy with yourself and with the people in your life.
Yeah. Like right now, I mean, everybody was asking me because two of my boys are at their grandparents' house for the summer, like for most of summer. And they're like, how do you do it? Like, you know, like I would miss them so much. I was like, yeah, I miss them. I talk to them, but it's great to have
alone time,
that space back a little bit. Like I'm able to do my makeup. I'm able to like get ready.
You get time.
I just
for
get
yourself.
time for myself that I always feel like I'm crunched for time.
And I know mom guilt is so real too, and people love to make women feel so bad
about saying that they have guilt.
Oh, and also like stepping away from your child. I know they're like, oh, but your husband's busy. Why does he have to take? It's like, no, I need this time for myself, and he could totally take care of it. Like, I don't know why there's so much, like, women have to do it. Men can't touch the kids.
Oh,
like,
I went on a birthday trip with two of my friends recently, and my husband took care of the baby and the dog, and he was fed, bathed, clothed.
At that point, all you have to do is everyone good?
Yeah.
That's it.
Are you alive? But I came back, and it was like the best reunion.
Yeah.
You know, like my husband was like grateful that I was back again. My baby was like, oh my God, my mom's back.
Everyone's just like more appreciative too, you know?
Yeah, it's just like you don't realize how much is missing, how much you have, I guess, until somebody's gone.
Oh, for sure.
And then you're like, oh dang, we're like, you know, everything needs to be here to fit like a puzzle and work like a good machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes you very thankful for what you have.
Yeah, for the first time last week, I spent 5 days alone without Shay, without the dogs in LA with my family. And I was like, oh my God, this hasn't happened in 5 to 6 months. Actually, a very long time without the dogs and Shay. Mm-hmm. And I've never felt so rejuvenated, so revived, and also just like, I could totally do this. Because I was so scared to be away from them and like, oh, is he going to be able to handle it? Mm-hmm. I know he's busy. Like, why? You know, if I can do it, he can do it too. I know I'm not as busy work-wise, but like, why do I have to feel guilty?
No, I mean...
And he was totally like, go. And I was like, are you sure? Like, they wouldn't think twice if they're leaving us, you know? Yeah. Like, why am I so... Yeah. So that was my first time stepping away, and I was like, I'm going to do this all the time. It was so nice.
3 kids later, I still get mom guilt. You know, like you still feel guilty. You still feel like you need to do everything before you leave. So like even the night before I was packing and stuff,
the whole house.
I was like leaving things like, here, you can feed him this. You can make him this. Oh, make sure. And he's like, he's putting it behind, like he's putting it up as I was taking it out behind me. He's like putting it back where it belongs. And I was like, what are you doing? So like, you'll remember, like, he's like, Dimple, trust me, we are going to be fine. I will make him food. We will go out to eat if we need to. Like, everything's going to be fine. And even when I left, I would be like, I would text or call and be like, what is he doing? Like, you know, and the first day he ran a slight fever, and I was like, why is he running a fever? You know, like, give him some Tylenol. And he's like, he handled it. And I told my mom about it, and my mom was like, you know, sometimes whenever a mom leaves their child after they haven't done it, like
Kids
they run
sick a little,
a fever because they're distraught and they're upset and they don't know what to do without their mom because they've been there for so long.
Yeah.
So literally he only did that for that one day, and then he was back to normal.
Yeah.
Sunday, Monday.
And you had the best time.
And I had the best time.
Yeah. And that's just a beautiful reminder that sometimes it's okay to let go.
Step away.
Actually, you taught me this one thing. And it was because I asked you, how do you leave your kids and not have anxiety over like what's going to happen? Where are they? What is he going to be able to handle it? You told me this one thing, and that's why I've become this way. And it's become so much easier to just step away from my house and them when I'm alone. Is you told me, as long as everyone's alive, you don't worry about it.
Don't worry about the mess.
Don't worry about the mess. Don't worry about how he's taking care of it, because he's going to take care of them the way he does. But you don't have to worry about that until you come back. You taught me that. And I was like, oh, it hit like, I don't know why that day it just like clicked. And
everybody has a different approach.
Yes. You can't expect them to do it your way. Yep.
Yeah. And I, you know, in the beginning with the first child, because I was away to the pharmacy, I would work. And now I work from home. But that time it was so different. Obviously, it's a first time thing. And so I want things, I know what was working. And I was like, I want you to do it this way. And it would lead to fights and stuff, because it was like, I'm not even home majority of the time. I was working. So my husband's putting him down to sleep and, you know, feeding him and all. They have their own routine going. But here I am trying to dictate, like, no, you got to do it this way, because on weekend or the days that I had off, this is what I would do. And I learned, you know, the hard way, that, you know, I have ways and he has ways.
Yeah.
And the kids adapt either way. So it's let them do their way.
I know. Yesterday we were out and I was like, okay, should we feed them before we leave? And he's like, no, I've been feeding them every day at 9. I was like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, okay, take a step back. Take a step back. I haven't been here.
They're still getting fed.
They're still getting fed.
And if they were hungry?
And they were doing, and I was like, I zipped it. And I was like, well, they're going to get back on routine. I was just like,
but see, that routine is more for you.
Yeah, not for
because you have other things to do. So you make a routine for yourself so that you can accomplish all your other things that you need to do.
I was just like, oh my God, they're starving. But no, they were fine. They're fine. They're fine.
And if they were really hungry, they would have been, you know, scruffing at their bowls and asking for food.
Yeah. Whew. Marriage is hard.
Oh, it's
hard.
Let's
just say that.
It's hard even, you know, 13 years later, it's still hard.
I've been across people in my podcast that have been married for 5+, 10+ these past few episodes. So I didn't even realize I've been interviewing so many married people. But I asked every single married person for one piece of advice that you would give to another early on, like me, married person. The biggest one, like top 2.
Let's see. Just because you're married doesn't mean that you have only one life together.
Love that.
You can still have
your own
life, and you can have a joint life. Yes. So don't stop doing what you enjoy, and don't, you know, you don't have to do everything that he wants to do either. Like, y'all can have that ground of like, hey, you like to go do this, I don't like to go do this.
Yeah.
This is something we like to do together. Great. But don't think that you have to do every single thing that your significant other does.
That's a good one.
Because that doesn't lead to more connection or to more love. That actually might lead to more fights and resentment.
Yeah.
Like, you're in my space, you know? So don't stop living, basically.
Yeah. And do things that make you happy.
Yeah. Adaptation, you know, adapting to each other, that's different. but totally changing or like stopping something because you have to, you feel like you need to give it up and stuff like that. No, that's not the way to do it.
I agree. I guess an example would be Shay loves to golf. Like he'll golf like 2-3 times a week. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's his passion. And he always will ask me, well, once in a while he'll ask me, so you want to come? And I'm like, nah, that's your time. You know what? You get that time. You go sit in the sun, 100-degree weather, while I chill at home with the AC on.
Yeah.
But, for his birthday, maybe I'll join him one day. Like just for a few rounds, and I'll just sit there with a book on. And he's like, no, you can't read. I was like, what, you want me to watch you the whole time, be your hype girl? But, that's a really good example. Like, he has his thing, I have my thing. But together, we play pickleball.
Right.
That's been our sport together right now. And it's actually been really nice to see, like, how we communicate through that sport as well. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because pickleball can get very competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm competitive.
I'm silent competitive.
So my husband doesn't like to play with me or be on my team because, I'm going to call you out if you mess that
I'm competitive. I think Shay and I are the same kind of competitive. Like, we're not sore losers. Like, if someone beats us, fine. Like, I'll get a little upset, like, fine, but they won. Because I played sports my whole life.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm, like, a silent competitor. Like, if I see that my score is so low, I'll just stop talking. And that means I am in the zone. Like, no one can fuck with me. But I'm not an outspoken competitor.
I'm an outspoken competitor, so my husband hates that.
Do you talk a lot of shit?
Yeah.
I talk shit, but, like, funny shit.
Yeah.
I talk shit, but the shit ain't even good.
But yeah, it's fun though,
Have you started playing?
Yeah, we play.
Oh, okay, so we should play.
Yeah.
You could be on my team.
Okay.
I could handle people being loud and competitive. I've been around people like that all my life.
I know.
I got you.
I can name a few.
I can name. They're probably listening right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna take it back to the postpartum because I feel like a lot of people are going through this or have gone through this and they didn't know what to do. What piece of advice or a few pieces of advice would you give them, like, to cope with it and go through?
Be outspoken about it. I mean, find one person that you can talk to.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not your friend. Maybe it's not your relative. Maybe it's just a random person.
Or therapist.
Or your doctor. Or, I mean, it could be anyone. I mean, just know that if you're talking, like, about yourself and how you're feeling, no one's going to turn their head.
And if they do,
then that's not the person to speak to.
And cut them out.
And that's not who you should be living by. Yeah. Like, if they're saying, oh, don't worry about it, like, just keep going, that's not who you need to talk to.
Yeah.
But yeah, a therapist, your spouse, your friend, your sister, brother, mom, dad. I mean, anybody. Me. Reach out to me.
Or me.
I'm an open book. I don't, I've been through it, went through it twice. Third time I went through it, but very little because I was able to navigate. And I'm now seasoned.
Yeah.
Seasoned mom, seasoned post-pregnancy 3 times. Like, I know what worked for me, what didn't work for me,
and
how to acknowledge it, like, and how to immediately, like, know it's going on and nip it in the bud. Like, meaning nip it in the bud, not like to put it under the rug or anything, but address it and take care of it. Versus letting it build up and affecting me, affecting my family, affecting all my relationships, cutting myself off from the world, that kind of thing. Like, I didn't want to do that because I already, postpartum is lonely. Especially if you're, like, breastfeeding and stuff. And I think breastfeeding does take a toll more so mentally than physically.
Yeah.
And while you're doing good for your baby, like, you feel like you're draining yourself.
Yeah, because you're probably having an out-of-body experience with your body,
it is. It's like anytime, the baby would latch or you pump, it's like you get this, it's opposite of adrenaline. It was like the anxiety like hops in.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't know what to do. Like you feel lost, scared, alone. There could be people around you talking, and the baby could be, you know, cooing and cawing, and you just feel very alone.
Oh.
I don't want anybody to feel that way.
Yeah.
So if anyone, like even one single person, can relate to this and know that, you know, this is okay, and it's okay to get help and be on medication.
You're going to get through it.
You're going to get through it, but talk about it.
Yeah.
Not talking about it is not going to allow you to get through it as easy
Yeah.
as talking about it will.
Yes. And if you, like, if someone has shamed you for it, cut that person out, because there's
Don't talk to
nothing.
them.
There's nothing shameful about this.
There's
This is
nothing
something
positive about
so
that
real.
relationship
Yeah.
that's going to come out of it, and they're not going to get you out of it.
Yeah. They were there just to see you rot. Honestly, like, fuck.
And
those
to
people.
tell you, like, told you, like,
Yeah, fuck those people. You have so much support. Maybe you won't feel like it at the moment, but there are so many resources now,
yeah.
and there are good people you can reach out to. You're not alone. I hate that you had to go through that alone.
Yeah, it was a very traumatic thing for me, but I don't want to live in that past.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more like, how can
You help others.
help others?
Yep.
And you bringing me on this podcast was a big thing, because I think just people that don't even know me, or it's going to help people.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so.
It will.
You are helping so many people by talking about your own mental health.
Thank you.
And it's not even postpartum, but mental health is a big umbrella, and there's so many things under it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're, you know, a mom, a dad, a son, a daughter, or whatever, but everybody has some type of
Mental health. Yep.
issue that arises at some point in their life. And really being a pharmacist, dispensing the medications that people are on, and seeing that like 95% of people are on antidepressants or mood stabilizing or something, anti-anxiety medications, made me realize, like, you know, it's totally normal.
Yeah.
We are not programmed to be 100% all the time.
And we're not supposed to be.
Yeah. And this is life.
Yeah.
And life's going to have ups and downs, and you might have to make U-turns, and you might go into dead ends, but you will find your way if you allow yourself to find your way and get that help and support.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. And I hope everyone here, whoever's listening, knows that too. That you are loved, you are beautiful, you are going to get through whatever you are going through right now.
You are enough.
You are more than enough.
Yeah.
Like, that
More than
is... be a little kind to yourself. Give yourself a little grace, some compassion. I had to learn that one last year. Before we end, I like to ask everybody... what does taking care of yourself mean to you? Because it's different for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, taking care of myself is really like being transparent with my husband and being like, hey, you're going to have to take care of XYZ. And I put it on the calendar. Like, I have this doctor's appointment, this massage, this chiropractor. Like, everything is out in the open, and I'm going to be gone for X amount of time. I lock my doors whenever I go to the bathroom or to the shower, because I need that time.
Yeah, they'll just walk in, huh?
Because my kids just walk in and they're like, Mom, where's this? Mom, where's that? And so even those 5 minutes or whatever that I get, it's like me time.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel guilty about it.
Good for you.
So taking care of myself means doing what I need for myself to have that energy and functioning capability for the rest of my family. So whatever that is, like if it's girls' dinner, or if it's one-on-one time with my husband, or it's like take one kid out and don't feel guilty about not taking the other two out, you know, whatever it is, like I try not to beat myself up so much about the little things.
No, you're doing amazing. You look happy.
Oh, I am.
I could feel the energy. You're looking good, girl.
Thanks.
No, well, I'm really happy you're here today, and I'm really, really thankful that you came on and shared your story. I know it's so, so important, so thank you. I'm appreciative.
No, thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful
to talk about my story because it's been a minute.
I know. It's been a minute. I'm glad that you came. It's going to help so many people. Or one person. Anyone,
but
I just
at
want
least that
someone
one
to hear.
person can then help another person.
Yes.
So it's a domino effect.
Yes.
You know, it may not be hundreds right off the bat, but one is better than none.
Yes, I agree. And on that note, remember, it's not selfish to take care of yourself. It is necessary. Thank you so much for tuning in, and listen in every week on Tuesdays for new episodes. I love you so much.